Are you estranged from your children? And how does that feel if you are? I was a stay-at-home mom for around 20 years, maybe a little more, and then went through a nasty divorce where my 3 children decided to take his side and, I don't want to say abandon me, but become estranged from me, where they don't want anything to do with me. And it's been 8.5 years now, and I have tried to email them, send them things, text them, message them, do just about anything. I didn't try to go to their house because their lovely father's there, chances are. So I didn't bother to try to do that. But I did try to call them. I'd leave them voicemails. I did that for numerous years. I'd look them up online and try to see if I could find pictures of them, which I would, and that made me happy, so I could see that they were doing well and being well taken care of. But like I said, I was a stay-at-home mom for around 20 years, and then the nasty ass divorce. There was one divorce that my second husband wasn't that bad, but the third one was horrific. It was just, I couldn't do anything right. He's a narcissist, so everything had to be his way, and it still is. I still find out bits and pieces of what's going on, and my therapist says not to. He says just let things go, let them live their adult lives. I should live my life and just let them. Yeah, you know what? He doesn't have any kids. I just put in a complaint yesterday because he gave me some bad advice that was inappropriate, in my opinion. He said in a nutshell, he's smarter than me because he has an education on these, mental topics. And I argued that he may have an education, but he didn't live it. So we went back and forth quite a bit, and that was Wednesday. And I waited till Friday, and I called and talked to his boss. And I said, I'd like to stay with him because we get along pretty good. But if I decide, they did offer me somebody else, and I said, I hate starting over. So I don't really want to start over. I like him. It's just that he just doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. He hasn't lived the life I have. He doesn't have any children. And the superintendent of school was the same way. She had a niece, but she didn't have any children. So how do you relate to children? I don't care what your education is. How can you relate to children if that's what you're relating to? People who have mental illnesses, people that are, having their issues. How can you relate to them just because you've read a book on it? And his boss explained to me how the training goes and all this, and how they, are like supervised when they have clients. I don't give a shit. You have not lived point A to now the things that I have. You just haven't. So you don't know how it feels. So don't tell me, and I'm pretty bucky, and his boss was really cool. She understood. She's like, you're going to be my guinea pig. What would you do? And I still don't understand exactly what she was trying to get. I don't know. She gave me a scenario, and I'm like, okay. But I still don't exactly understand what answer she was trying to get out of me, or what, it was pretty funny. Her and I got along really good. And I said, I don't want him to get in trouble, but he needs to understand what he learned. And I said, I have the feeling, I said, I don't know how long he's been doing this. He's 28, so probably not very long. I've been doing this for 39 years, so I've been doing it for a little bit longer. And I said, I don't care what kind of clients he had, but I could almost guess that he hasn't had somebody like me. So for him to say he understands, or for him to say, the things that he did, I had an issue with. And I said, I'm not one to back down and take it. I'm going to speak up and say, wait a minute. Just because he has an education doesn't mean he understands me and what I've gone through. And I talked to her, and she was really cool. But, yeah, I mean, if you have an issue with the care you're receiving, speak up. I said, you don't have to be brutal about it. Just be honest and say, hey, he thinks he knows. He doesn't. He might think so, just because he's got an education. That was my problem, is he kept throwing that in my face of, I have an education, so, oh, my screen goes dark when I do that. Maybe I shouldn't do that. Just because he has learned. I could read a book, this is funny, I can read a book about potty training, but that doesn't mean I'm gonna know how to go to the bathroom, like, properly. Yeah, I know I lowered it down to 2-year-old or 3-year-old age, but my point is, you can read a book or whatever on how to drive a car. That doesn't mean you're going to be any good at it, and that doesn't mean you're going to know how. There's a difference of reading how and knowing how. So, yeah, I had a real problem with him, and I let it kind of stew, and I let it kind of just, give it some time to breathe, to see how I felt after a while, and said, this isn't right. Just because you read about it doesn't mean you know how it feels. So I think I did a video on this before, but that was, I think, before I talked to her. I don't know, I might have to go read it over, or read it over. I'm kind of tired. I actually did get a real night sleep last night. I got up at 7 this morning, and I'm like, AM. It's AM, it's not PM. So I was pretty excited. Why am my camera's goofy. There we go. That's better. I was looking over there. I'm not looking over there. But, yeah, it said AM, and I'm like, AM? There's first in a long time. So I'm kind of tired because, things are still, I'm sorry. Things are still working their way out. David took my nose ring out because I'm like, I've had it for probably 3 years, and I'm just tired of it. So when the guy did it, he explained how I'm supposed to take the ring out. And I've had earrings like that I've used on my daughters and that I've used. I know how it works. But there wasn't much room to work with of trying to get it out. I couldn't get it out. So I said, get the, not the clippers, but those other things you use to cut metal. The clipper, the snippers, I guess, is what we were calling them. I said, go get them. So we're standing there, and I've got anxiety so bad. And I'm like, just let me sit down, you know? So I sat down, and he says, I can't get through it. The metal's too thick. I said, it's hollow. It's not thick. He goes, hang on. And I could just see out of the corner of my eye, just him, you know, and I'm like, fuck, this is scaring me. So he finally got it to where it was crooked. And I thought, well, I can somehow twist and turn it and get it out. No. So I said, cut it. So he finally cut it. And I still couldn't get it out. So I turned it all the way around and had him cut it again. And pieces went flying everywhere. And I'm like, holy shit. And I said, well, it's out. It's just tired of having it. There are times where I would move it, like after I took a shower or whatever, and it would kind of hurt. And I'm like, for having it that long, it shouldn't hurt anymore. And it's not infected or anything. It's just annoyed. So I was annoyed. I want to go out to eat. He's making me biscuits and gravy, which is like, the shit. So, yeah, I kind of got sidetracked, which isn't surprising. It's part of my, borderline personality disorder. But my question was supposed to be, are you stuck? We were talking about children being estranged. That's right. Are you estranged from your parents? If you're young, if you're older, it doesn't really matter, I guess. You can be estranged at any age. So my question is, are you estranged from your parent or parents? And the question is how does that feel? Being from this side, I don't know how it feels. Even though I was estranged from my mother through my teens, and it was very difficult. In a way I was glad, because the way she treated me like crap. She treated me like I didn't exist. So I was happy just to be with my dad. So it makes me wonder if that's how my girls and my kids feel, that they're glad I'm not around. The way they act and the way I've talked to them, that's how they act. So I'm just wondering, from somebody who is currently estranged from their parent, and they're, adult. I'm not talking about the parent, I'm talking about the kid. How does that feel? I know how I felt, but I'm just curious of how others feel. Why is that so dark? Jesus. There. I don't know why that's so dark. It's driving me crazy. Sorry. You set it all up, and then we're just going to turn those lights. You set it all up, and it's right, and then all of a sudden, it's not. Well, and because my camera zooms in and out by itself. So for some reason it was zoomed back because I leaned back. I lean. But no, I was the only child that was estranged from her. I think my sister may have talked to her because she still does. And they're just two bitches. I would call them worse, but I'm trying to be nice. I really don't know if any of them at all watch this stuff. Should I care? They're like, my therapist said, you do your thing, let them do their thing. So let them do their thing. I'll do mine. And if for some reason, I don't know how they would have found this channel, but if they for some reason do, I guess they'll find out the truth that, you know, it wasn't all me. He had a lot to do with it. He lied a lot. He made it look like everything was me. The thing is he makes a lot of money, and they stay where the getting's good. Because I just found out about a car that he bought for my 18-year-old, and it's not one that's really appropriate for an 18-year-old. But, you know, my therapist is like, it's a car. Yeah, it's a convertible, which makes it really dangerous, and I'm surprised she has any points left. I don't know if I never had a problem driving, but she's had 2 incidents, serious incidents, where she probably was close to getting her license taken away. He's an idiot, and he lets them do. He always says, let them do what they want to do, because then they're daddy's girls. They love daddy. Everything's about him. And I can piss off. It doesn't matter. I don't matter. Because I can't give them... Well, I could if they gave me the chance, but they won't. And he's just really selfish. He's a narcissist. And so I don't know, this was kind of a weird video. I'm hungry. Hangry. I think this weather, I tend to get, like, not sick, but I think I have allergies. I just don't want to go get allergy tested. So I think that I have some kind of effect that goes on between the coughing, the sneezing. I think the most I've ever sneezed was 12 times in a row, something like that, 12 or 15, where I just sneeze and sneeze and sneeze. And even the doctors know that I have some type of allergy that I just don't want to care about. I just deal with it. So, yeah, this has been a weird video. It was supposed to be about adult estranged children turned around. I'm like the worst at this shit. It's supposed to be where it was turned around, where I was not supposed to be the parent, or it wasn't from a parental point of view. It was supposed to be from a child point of view. And you know, I wish people would leave comments and letting me know, so I know how they feel, how it feels, how things are, because I really don't know. I mean, I grew up too fast, and then I was a stay-at-home mom for 20-some years. So, well, I'm gonna go so he can make me my biscuits and gravy, and I'm gonna have a great day. It's cold and the sun's not out, and rumor has it it's supposed to snow next week, and it's way too early for that. Although it has snowed on Halloween before. Halloween's past, but it's not too early to snow, and I don't care. I don't want it. I don't like snow. I just stay in the house. Well, a lot of it has to do is, you know, my knee. It makes it hard for me to walk on the snow. So I said I was gonna go. Don't you snow? I said I was gonna go. I'm weird. So, I hope you have a good weekend, and I will be back. I can't even talk, but I'll be back.